There is a particular kind of person who learns very early in life that people can be moved like pieces on a board, not out of cruelty necessarily, but out of habit, out of growing up in a world where power was the language everyone spoke, where relationships were transactions, and where getting what you wanted meant understanding what other people needed and using that understanding strategically. It becomes second nature. It becomes the way you move through the world without even thinking about it anymore. She was that kind of person, wealthy, sharp, and carrying the kind of confidence that comes from never having been truly told no. She had learned the art of reading people quickly, what they wanted, what they feared, what would make them lean closer or step back, and she had learned how to use all of that information with a precision that most people never even noticed, until it was already too late. Manipulation is only visible when it is clumsy. When it is elegant, it simply looks like charm. But even someone who has mastered the game can get bored of always winning, and so she did something that genuinely wealthy, genuinely powerful people sometimes do when the predictability of their own world starts feeling suffocating. She stepped outside of it. She disguised herself, stripped away the name, the status, the signals that would have immediately told anyone exactly who they were dealing with. She wanted to exist, just for a while, as someone ordinary. Someone who could walk through a door without every person in the room already having an opinion about her before she spoke a single word. It was in that disguised, unguarded version of herself that she encountered him, arrived in her life carrying his own kind of desperation, not the dramatic kind, but the quiet, practical kind that belongs to someone who has been navigating a difficult world with very few resources and a great deal of personal pride. He needed protection, he needed stability. And he was willing to offer something significant in return: his loyalty, his service, his complete and unconditional commitment to whoever gave him the shelter he was looking for. He presented himself plainly. He would work, he would guard, he would be whatever was needed. Just give him a place to stand. She took him in, and because she was who she was, because manipulation was the water she swam in, she began doing what came naturally, testing him, pulling strings, watching how he responded to different pressures. It was almost entertainment at first. A study in a person she found unexpectedly interesting. What she did not know, what she had absolutely no way of knowing in that moment, was that this was not the first time their lives had touched. He knew her, not the disguised version standing in front of him now, but her, the real her, from a time before the polish and the strategy and the carefully constructed walls she had built around herself. He carried something she had unknowingly left behind in someone else's life a long time ago, a memory, warm and specific, of a girl who had shown him something genuine before the world had fully taught either of them to be guarded. That memory had stayed with him. It had shaped things in him he couldn't always name. And now here he was, standing directly in front of the person who had no idea she was the reason certain things in him had never quite healed. He said nothing. He stayed. He served. He protected, and somewhere beneath the surface of all that discipline and duty, something old and complicated was quietly catching fire again. The dynamic between them was unlike anything straightforward. She held the visible power. She was the one with resources, with authority, with the ability to end the arrangement at any moment. But he held something she hadn't accounted for. He held knowledge. He held a history she wasn't aware he possessed. And he held a patience that came from a man who had already spent years carrying something, quietly waiting, without even knowing he was waiting, for the right moment to mean something. As the days passed and the arrangement deepened, something began shifting inside her that she was not prepared for, because there is a specific danger that comes with manipulating someone who turns out to be genuinely good. When you pull at someone and they don't perform the way you expected, when they respond not with the predictable reactions of someone being played, but with something steady and real and quietly disarming, the game stops feeling like a game, and the person who thought they were in control starts losing their footing in ways they cannot immediately explain. She had moved people her entire life. She had never been moved until now. The difference in their worlds was not invisible. It was present in every interaction, every space they shared, every moment where the reality of who she was and where he stood created a tension neither of them could simply talk away. Forbidden is not always about rules written down somewhere. Sometimes forbidden is just the feeling that something beautiful is sitting inside a space where the world has decided it does not belong, but the heart is remarkably unimpressed by what The world has decided. This is the story of a woman who thought she was collecting a person and discovered she had found herself, and a man who walked into a stranger's life carrying a secret love he had almost stopped believing in, only to find it standing right in front of him, still worth every moment he had waited.